Hello and welcome to Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von Gut und Böse, which literally translates to Beyond Good and Evil. This is Disc 1, it's a 2-disc game. Unlike the other game, it's 2 single-layer discs, whereas the other one was 1 dual-layer disc. PS2s don't like dual-layer discs. So I'm going to go through possibly the biggest change, the visual style. Now, the visual style is just, it's so much better than the first game. Most of you may remember that I don't like the first visual style. I mean, it's good, but it's just too anime, and after a while it really wears on you. It kind of, I feel it takes away from the realism of what they're going through. If it looked more realistic, if their characters looked more realistic, I think the adventure would be superb. But sadly, this game does the visual style okay. It's in the middle between Xenosaga 1 and Xenosaga 3. Xenosaga 3's visual style is the best. It is better than anything I've seen before. Just in terms of how it looks and what it's running on. It's running on a PS2. It looks like a PS3 game. Now this game sadly is not in that same way. It's in the middle, stuck between. It looks a bit off, but we'll see that shortly. It's much more welcome than an over-anime style. And also, Momo is no longer a lolly. Thank goodness. Praise be to Monolith Soft, who are the people who made this, not Namco. So another few things to go through. The music you're hearing right now has changed. It's no longer Yasunari Mitsuda of Xenoblade, Chrono Trigger fame. It's now Yuki Kajura in the pre-rendered cutscenes. However, it's Shinji Hozo in most things. He does the main game, he does the main the battle themes, most cutscene themes. This theme is by Yuki though. My goodness, she's a brilliant person. She does the whole soundtrack for the next game, and it's truly fantastic. Wonderful, I love this. So yeah, one of the other things they've done is they've also moved from the MPEG 2 technology in the last game, which is how the pre-rendered cutscenes look like a DVD, therefore there are little things which you could tell, to move to SFD, which looks superb, and ADX, which means the voice files and everything are easier to rip, but also it means I'll be showing you the proper cutscenes, not the ones done by not the crummy ones on the PAL version, or not the ones on the what's it called, the American version. Anyway, this device here we're seeing is of vital importance to the rest of the game. It is an ES, more powerful than an AUX, but this ES is very plot-eccentric, and so is the thing which was put into it like a spinal cord. As you can see, that is in fact the logo for Xenosaga 2. Now the theme you're hearing is the theme called Xenosaga 2's theme, and apart from that, the other things they've changed is the fact there are no shop, no armour and weapons. Now you may think that's weird, but it actually works out quite nicely, just a little difficult to get your head round. Anyway, that's that. We're going to go to new game, and remember that clear data that I told you about? You better have it now. It'll check both memory cards, and I don't think you can load the same clear data twice. I'm not sure, but it picks out one of them because I've got clear data on both memory cards. Of course, this is my 64 or 18 meg memory card, so it takes a while to search through it. But yeah, I should also just say Yuki Kajura is of Pandora Hearts fame, whereas Shinji Hoso, we don't know. I can't find anything out about what he did and what he has done. So there we go. So those are just a quick list of the changes. The battle themes changed, of course. We'll get into that later on. This enables you to have 2 swimsuits. 2, which covers up Cosmos. Well, in a way, Cosmos is much better. She does much better with the use of this swimsuit, because her frame in this game isn't brilliant. And Ziggy's just cool. He's got the geriatric swimsuit, is what it'll tell us in a couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1, bang! Or not. There we go. The geriatric swimsuit, I like the name. Anyway, the great thing about this game is that it has the ability to output in 5.1 surround sound if you can use it in cutscenes. Awesome, love that feature. Anyway, the subtitles will only appear in in-game rendered cutscenes, because pre-rendered cutscenes I'm using the original raw file directly from the disc, so I don't have to, mess around with anything else. Anyway, we'll see you after this short cutscene. The voice acting is a little bit awful, and this screen here is used to tell you what happened in the last episode, or the last time you played it.
What you're seeing here is actual footage from the violence that erupted before dawn this morning. These seemingly coordinated Realian attacks were reported throughout Federation territory, prompting government officials to consider this movement an act of terrorism. The response to these Realians has been... There's been a new development. As internal agencies continue to analyze these violent events, a flash action report within the Federation and obtained by this station indicates that only Realian models created within the last 2 years, or those receiving adjustments in the Miltian star system, have been implicated. Although this is not a complete list, we have obtained a partial list of units matching these criteria. This list includes DZ-1006448, DZ-2000330, DZ-1001007.
Today was just the beginning of the ensuing violence. These Realian outbreaks are spreading like wildfire. They'll be reading off plenty more model numbers in the media tomorrow. I can assure you.
So, what does that have to do with the operation? I'd like to know why I was chosen for this mission. I'm told that the military has detained all of its Realians. I find it difficult to believe that they don't have any misgivings about us.
Kanan, you're a Realian who's been especially created and configured by Vector itself. I've been given the CEO's personal guarantee that you won't be affected like the others.
Besides, no ordinary pilot could possibly control your craft. That makes you very vital to the operation.
I don't believe you two have been properly introduced yet. This is Chaos. He'll be joining you on board as your navigator.
I appreciate the offer, but you may want to reconsider. A regular human can't ride in that thing.
Right. That's why I'm here. Don't worry.
All right, it's settled then. Good luck to both of you.
As mentioned in the briefing, this is a top-secret mission. All IFF code transmitters will be switched off, and under no circumstances will you receive backup from this vessel. You'll have to manage your descent and return on your own. You can expect heavy resistance from both UTIC enemy craft and Federation military units deployed throughout Miltia. It's gonna be dangerous, so watch yourselves out there.
Don't worry. I'm coming back.
Operator, requesting confirmation. We are to head to point NN441, correct?
Correct. The URTV force is currently deployed at the target location. Your primary objective is to retrieve them. Protecting them should be your first priority.
All of them?
Affirmative. If the situation allows, you will then infiltrate UTIC's mother frame and acquire the Y data, the root of this conflict.
Roger. We'll do what we can.
ES Asher, startup sequence complete. Requesting launch.
Launch request confirmed. Now guiding ES Asher to Deck B.
Defensive shields deployed. Ready when you are.
Roger. Initiating launch procedure. Good luck.
Currently passing through the troposphere. Outer hull temperature returning to normal. Adjusting descent path by 0.22. This should get us closer to our target. Approach warning. Incoming craft detected. They're on an intercept course. There are...
We'll take them all out. Stop counting and take control of the shields. We'll use the shockwave to gain an advantage on them. You've got control of the weapons.
Roger. It looks like they're unmanned. With no G-force limit, they can outmaneuver us. They might pull some crazy moves out there, so be careful.
It just makes them all the more predictable.
There's no end to these guys. And we don't have much ABR energy left either. Let's find some place to set it down. We're empty. All enemies destroyed. It's true. You really are as good as they say.
How are you handling the feedback? You know, a normal person would have probably passed out by now. I don't want you jeopardizing the mission.
I'm fine. It feels like it's had some special tuning, but that just makes it more interesting.
I see. Well, if I get anything unusual from you, I'm cutting the bypass to the navigator immediately. I can operate this thing fine by myself.
Roger. Looks like we're pretty far out from our objective. Plus, I'd say the defensive network we saw on the way down takes out the idea of an airborne approach.
We'll go by ground then. Fortunately, the rubble from the burned-out buildings should provide us enough cover to cross the city unnoticed.
Agreed. We'd better get moving. We don't have much time.
Not much time? Does this have something to do with the URTVs? Those designer children?
Mm-hmm, yes. That's right. We need to protect them from the coming crisis. If and when it occurs.
You do realize that's a different story from what I heard in my official briefing.
No doubt. As the Federation government special forces, the URTVs were sent in ahead of the invasion. I'm sure you understand what they represent in the conflict against the UTIC organization.
Right. I understand that they're bioweapons sent in to sever the link between the UTIC's mobile weapons fleet and their source of power, the Zohar.
The higher-ups have complete confidence in the URTVs. They are the military's trump card. Unfortunately, the brass are also blind to the potential dangers of the URTVs.
Fascinating. I hadn't realized the situation was so desperate.
Right, well I'm back. The voice acting in that sounds awful, but Kanan, the one that wasn't obviously Chaos, is meant to have no emotions. He's a suppressed model, and the voice actor for Chaos is just terrible in this one. They changed him a bunch with a lot of other people, and they also changed the style, but it looks a lot better now instead of the horrible anime style. So anyway, we control one of these massive things. They're called ESs. These are save plates. Pretty much identical. No, they're not. They're kind of the same shape as the last one. The great thing about them now is by walking into them, you instantly restore HP, so it removes the need for biospheres. Also, to save is as simple as just right-clicking and going into your memory card. This is all the other stuff that I did as well. I need to make sure I haven't... Oh, dear. Should have prepped a new save file for this. Oh well. We'll just plonk my save here and I'll sort that out later on. It's important, if you're running on an emulator I think as well, that there are bits around here that crash the game, so you want to be careful where you're saving. Also, the reason why I'm playing the PS2 version, which is I'm sure some of the question you'll all ask, is because the conversions they made for all the movie files are awful. Like the 29 frames per second to 25 was awful. Anyway, different run speeds, and here comes one of the great things about the game. You know how last game you could blow things out of the way with your character? Well, now you can do this, and every character has their own little animation. They've given it a bit more personal feelings, whereas this one, he shoots it. If you're close enough, he blows it up. They put a lot more effect into the explosions and stuff. There we go. Smash. I want this. Okay, it's basically like destroying up of it. You can do the same as move the two around like you used to be able to do. No problem, just move them all out of the way. A lot of these, well, everywhere you can come back to, but you can also come back onto it on foot as well, without the eggs, which is really rather unusual. Anyway, I want to head down here, because there is an item hidden in this. There we go, in a massive chest. I know, it looks ridiculous. There we go, the power shield. Now let's have a look at the menu. It looks pretty rubbish, I'm going to be honest now. Your items are kept there. Ethers are obviously kept there, but only one ES can actually use the ether. Skills are different down to each character. We can select these up if we want now, but there's no point until later on. Status is also the power shield. There we go. What did that do? I forgot. There we go. Damage reduction 20% when defending. Now defending works differently we'll see when we get into a battle, but let's just ignore all that and move on. In fact, sort out my friggin' control stick. As usual, when playing a PS2. Let's blow this up. That looks like a Durlivangler, doesn't it? Aha! Aha! Or a Vogel, was it? It's a Vogel.
So tell me, what exactly are we expecting to happen here?
Well, the problem is that the URTVs aren't merely machines. They're real people, with their consciousness intact. The system that currently controls the Zohar was actually designed to be used for the UMN transport system. However...
Yes.
Well, they experimented with the transport of living beings numerous times, but every attempt ended in failure.
Bar one, actually.
According to the records, 99.76% of them were killed instantly.
However, it seems that on very rare occasions, there were survivors. They didn't exist as people anymore, though. They were just things, never able to recover their consciousness, the very element that made them human.
Mental breakdown.
Lieutenant General Helmer concluded that if contact with the system led to the destruction of the human mind, then even the URTVs created as the system's antithesis might be affected. Therefore, if the URTVs were to suffer a mental breakdown, then likely the Zohar, a source of infinite energy, would spiral out of control. That would be devastating.
And yet, the General Staff decision wasn't overturned. I suppose that's where we come in.
There we go. So some pretty horrific stuff there. It could be the end for the world as we know it. Anyway, we're moving on in the ES Asher, as it was called. Yeah, so I made a bit of foreshadowing. Anyway, there's an enemy aims. These are younger models of eggs. And yes, we are now going to take on the battle. Now the battles are completely different in this game, but this is a mech battle. Mech battle has no skill points and no class points. You'll find out what they are later on, just bear with me. Now, in these battles you often fight mechanical or gnosis type enemies. You very rarely find biological type enemies. As you saw before, it said weak, and it had ether next to it, and then had elemental weaknesses. What that's getting at is that an enemy can be weak against physical, fire, or ether, thunder. So that really gives you this whole physical special split, kind of like in Pokemon, which is something to remember, because it really helps if you get that in it. Just gives more punch, and you need more punch in this game. As you see there, you can get back attacks. Well, you can't see there just yet. In mech attacks, you can only press the button once, square or triangle. You've got no circle attacks. It's just hitting them. That's why you often stock a lot and get more specials in, which we'll get to in a second. Here he says if you're trying to attack an enemy in the back, your aim is 100%, and the critical hit rate is boosted by 50, which is really nice. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. It's also the same for you. You'll get that same defense. You'll get that same extra attack if they hit you, which is not nice. Anyway, another thing to mention is down at the Stall Marine actually displays that it's some basic details. That's scope, and it remembers what you've got always. Now you saw IA, that's how likely they are to intercept you and steal your go. Anyway, another thing is evasion. We'll get on to that. CSA is 10, and it gets a little confusing how that works exactly. Now boosting is exactly the same as last game. Don't worry about that, boosting is fine, press R1, but no longer has each character got 3 boosts. The boost is simply it's simply 3 per the whole team. Each of the team shares 3, and you can boost up to 5 in certain battles with certain items, but it's not. I never find myself using that because if you get on a roll, you can often get boosts back so quickly. Now these battles are often a lot slower and more sluggish than your character counterparts, because you have specific character ones and then specific ES battles. Now stock replaces a defense in this, and stock basically sits there and charges that up by I think 100 points. You can increase it by using special armor, well not armor, abilities for it. And let's see, yeah. So stock increases your chance of also defending. Now moving on to the event slot, they're the same as before: critical, increased boost, skill, then a random generated one, and then back to critical. Now this random one can be any of the following: turn cancel, which we'll see in a few seconds. That just explains what they all do, which is good because the last game didn't really do that. There you go. Increases ether damage by healing 50%, target loss, so that's turn cancel, and then the enemy getting more boost if you attack it then. So really hold off and heal on the ether one and hit them on the turn cancel, something you want to do. Now skill points are, as I said, it doesn't have to worry about them because they're only in character battles. But skill points, I think they go up in 2, 4, 8, and 10 in this game, so a little bit different. But that's the basics somewhat. Now, when you've got enough points to use this, I'd highly recommend you using these attacks because they're really powerful, and also they're elemental, which which your regular attacks don't have, and it's the only way to really help destroy things. Now, as you see there, it says ether. Only one ES can use ether attacks, and that's the one that Momo pilots. Now that is basically has access to all of Momo's ethers. So when you teach Momo some ethers, you want to make sure that the ones will benefit the entire party when also in ESs, which is really handy actually, because later on you get attacks ether which inflicts your regular attack with certain ethers. Certain elemental not weaknesses, just elements. I'm going to get there eventually and say it right. Certain elements, and that can help you beat them, get their elemental weakness in a battle like this, where it'd be difficult to do so without stocking a lot. Anyway, this place reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy X and Xenosaga II. I do love that game, but yeah, as you see here, it just has that futuristic city feel. But don't worry, we'll be seeing a lot more of Old Milsha. As you see, traps the same as last time, they're the same effects, I think. Maybe let's change them. So you do them, the enemy gets stopped in them, you run to the back of them, you don't get a back attack, which is mildly disappointing. Anyway, there's the Kufka Lily, showing above the awesome thing that I created for it. Just hit them. At this stage, it makes no difference how, when, what you hit them. That thing will die in 1 hit, and the other thing will die in 1 to 2 hits. You're overpowered, you're meant to be at this stage of the game, and you'll find out why. Because the ES is, of course, quite powerful. If it was done in a stealth mission alone, it's going to be pretty badass. So there we go, that's that done. Don't be afraid of boosting and doing whatever. It's really not a battle that you can lose, and it's not a hard battle by any stretch of imagination, so just plough through, and you soon won't be able to control the ES, but I hope to see you in the next episode of Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von Gott und Böse, when we head onwards and see what's going on.